Hi. In last week's film about green sandpipers and snipe fighting each other, I mentioned the fact that while I was doing that, there was kingfishers calling from the trees on the other side of this lake. And I mentioned the fact that this was the ideal place to photograph a kingfisher. So that's what we're going to do this week, and I'm going to call it Photographing Kingfishers the Quick Way. It's exactly the same as a previous YouTube film I made called Photographing Kingfishers the Easy Way. I'm just going to put the emphasis on the time, how quick it can be. Now the reason this is an ideal place to photograph kingfishers is the water level on the lake is low. Normally it's right up to the bank here. It's deep water. As soon as you stepped into it, you'd be down to your chest. But because we've got this drought, the water level's low, we've got a shoreline. And I can walk right up to the water's edge, so I can put a perch in here. I've got good access to it. You try putting a perch in when there's a steep bank, it's a lot more difficult. The sun is in the right direction, although ideally I don't want the sun shining a bit too much at the moment. It's 90% cloud up there. I'm just being unlucky. The sun's managing to keep filtering through. But the sun's in the right direction, and even if the sun's not shining, the glow of the light is in that direction too. Another reason it's a good spot is the background is a long way away. It's not just the width of a river or a canal, it's much further than that. So my background is out of focus and diffused, so that makes it a good site. There's one thing wrong with this site. The water here very shallow, and I see no fish, and I wouldn't expect to. Small fish that kingfishers eat, they're going to be underneath the banks. Now there's a bank over there with vegetation on it. That's more likely to be where the small fish will be hanging out. But if I try and photograph out there, I've got all the problems I just mentioned. My background will be too close, the light's in the wrong direction, and I can't really get the hide into place unless I'm sitting in water. So this is more convenient. I think the kingfisher, as soon as it visits this lake, will head to any perch I put up here. It will be like a magnet to them. It can't resist a brand new perch. The important thing is not to put the perch out the day before. You only put the perch out when you're ready to photograph. So you put your hide up, you put your perch up, you get in the hide, and the kingfisher will come to that perch to fish, because it's never been able to fish this bit of water before. Now because it won't catch any fish, it's unlikely to keep coming back to it. It may come back a few times and it'll try diving or looking for fish in the water, but if it's not a successful sight, it's not going to be a prolonged thing. It won't keep coming back. That I'd have to do over there where I suspect there are small fish. So here it is, a nice and simple perch, nothing fancy. We've got a road spike here. You can buy these off eBay. I've always managed to have a collection of them, and just one other post just to balance it and stop it falling over. That's all you need. It's about 5 foot off the water. That's the ideal height for a kingfisher to dive. They can dive from lower down, but if the perch is lower, you often see the kingfisher come up in the air and then dive. Well, obviously it's going to slow him down a bit if he's got to do that, if he's got to come up and down again. So about 5 foot is the typical diving height for a kingfisher. That's all you need. But don't put it up the day before. Only put it up when you're ready. And that's it. You can see the hide is very close to the perch. You can put the hide up as close as you like. Kingfishers are not nervous birds. They are very confident. Unlike the green sandpiper and snipe that I was doing here last week, they are very, very easygoing birds. In fact, the most likely thing that will go wrong is instead of landing on your perch, it will come along and land on top of your hide, which makes photography a bit difficult, but that's happened many times. So all I've got to do now is get in the hide and see how long I have to wait before a kingfisher comes and lands on that perch. So we're getting in the hide just before 10 o'clock in the morning, and we'll time it to see how long we have to wait. I can hear a kingfisher. It's very noisy again, just like yesterday. I haven't seen it yet, but it's over on the other side of the water. And that for me was probably the hardest part. Would the kingfisher show up? But if it's here, then I'm 99% certain it will land on this branch. Just got to see it, and it will. It can't miss it. It can't miss the hide, it can't miss the branch. And as soon as it sees it, it's like a magnet, it will go straight to it. Sitting in a hide has always been my favourite way of photographing wildlife. To me it's a bit like being a fisherman, sitting quietly by the side of a river, very relaxing, and you never know what it is you're going to see. I'm using the Olympus 150 to 400mm OM1 camera body for the stills pictures and the Panosonic GH6 for the video. Here we go, it's coming. It's a female. We've got the orange on the lower mandible. The male would have an all black bill, and it took just over 35 minutes. Not the longest wait I've ever done for kingfishers. But this is a very reliable way of photographing a kingfisher, a brand new perch over a stretch of water they couldn't previously fish over because there was no perch there. Oh, see the way the perch bounced? It's just as if he landed on the far end. I guess that's what he'd done. They do like to go to the end of a perch. Now it's always important when you're shooting video to do distant shots, medium shots, close-up shots. It makes the editing much easier. But what you have to watch with the Panosonic GH6 is if I put the 1.25 into position by throwing the switch, the camera stops. Doesn't do that with the OM1. I have to start the camera up again. But I've put the built-in 1.25 in position just to give me a slightly tighter crop. So then we swap over to the OM1 body and I take a few stills pictures. I took several hundred, but I only kept 5 of them after I'd done the edit. But I do have many thousands of pictures at home of kingfishers. So that's it. That was quite successful. It didn't take very long. I could have done with the light being a bit more overcast. And I say if I was to work over here where there's probably our fish, then the kingfisher would start coming back on a more regular basis. I'll just demonstrate how you fold these hides down. Not that you can buy these currently, I haven't seen any on eBay for a while, but it does require folding in a certain way. So you start off by doing up all the apertures, and then, very important, you do the roof first. You just push the roof down till it pops, and then push the sides in till they pop. And then it just folds in nice and simple, but you have to do the roof first. Push the roof down, then push the sides in. Thanks for watching.